What's going on, everybody? How are you? How's everybody out there? I hope you guys are blessed. Hope you guys are having a good week so far as we're cruising through the rest of the week as we roll into a Shabbat. And I thank you guys for spending your beautiful, precious time, which is one of the greatest assets we've ever been given, is time. And think about the days of Adam, where they had 1,000 years to walk these lands and to be healthy and to basically have a lot of a life. And as we progress throughout time, our Creator gave us a limit. He says, I will give you 120 years. And then He adjusted us biologically somehow, that our ages faster, our bodies break down, and basically we get to live out like 1,000-year life in 120 years. And for us, it seems like a long time, doesn't it? Doesn't sometimes weeks feel like years and years seem like decades? And sometimes time just flies by and sometimes it doesn't. It's very, very weird. But we've been given an enormous amount of time to figure things out. And when I say figure things out, most people have come from what they call a religious world, where we have been told by certain people in certain positions, certain things on how to believe, how to worship, how to operate, how to pay our tithing. We learn all of this, right? And we learn it from a man sitting above the people in a pulpit, a man that we're supposed to believe, and obviously other people believe him because he has some sort of power amongst men that everybody believes what he says. But what if I were to tell you the things that he is saying, the words that he is operating with, are lies? When he says that all food has been made clean, and there's the Peter's dream, and he says those two situations right there mean all food has been made clean. It means that the great instructions of Leviticus 11 are no more with us. And in fact, instead of us having a full chapter on exactly what is healthy for humans to have and what is not healthy, we're going to get rid of it, and we're going to eat what we want, when we want, how we want. And you know what? It is what it is. That's the old school law. So those are things that we've learned, but when you read the scriptures, that doesn't exist. There's no such point at any time in the entire scriptures, even including the Apocrypha, which are all the hidden books that have been ripped out and taken away from us. It never says things like this. All of these things that we have been lied to, that Paul says, right? Finish the sentence with me, guys. Paul said. How many times do you learn what Paul said in a cult-like setting? Okay, so we learn what Paul said. Now, what did our Creator say? What did Moshe say? What did Joshua say? What did the kings of Yisrael say? Are we supposed to be a belligerent, rebellious set of individuals that are opposed and actually contrary to the ways that the Creator who gave us this blessed life has told us to live and operate? Does that make any sense to anyone out there, that we tick the Creator of the universe off? That we go against His statutes or His ordinances or His precepts? What happens when we take His seventh-day Sabbath and we turn that into a shopping day? And we turn that into the ultimate relaxation day. After 5 days of hard work, we chill out on Saturday and then watch football on Sunday after church. Nowhere in scriptures does it say anything like that, guys. We're not to be sitting in some man-made temple with some dude who's repeating lies to you. Not only are you going to inherit lies, but you could very well inherit unclean spirits that are in and around a whole bunch of people that are not living like our Creator has asked us to live. Because when you read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and you read it slowly, and you read it as a love letter from our Creator to us, as a technical guidepost for our life, and you believe it, and you wash, rinse, and repeat again and again and again, right? You're going to wash your hands in the Torah. You're going to rinse it off and see if you can retain it, and you're just going to repeat this. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to go into the Torah so that we know it so well that we are not sitting ducks. Because if you are one of these people that all the laws have been nailed to the cross, and you have no rules and regulations, you are sitting ducks for the kingdom of hell. There's not this so-called fake rapture, which they have convinced all of these lawless rebels that they can live lawless rebel lives, and it's all about grace now. It's all that Jesus loves you so much that he has forsaken all of the great commandments and great knowledge his dad has said, and has freed us to our own religious road, where we can have the Jesus and we can have the Paul, and Paul literally trumps anything the word of our Creator says. And in fact, when you mention to people that Paul could very well be their Elohim, he could be their God, because they're basing everything they say on the words of Paul, that'll just make them very, very angry. But isn't it the truth? Isn't it the truth that if you take whatever it is by anybody and you believe it to the expense of your soul, that they in your heart have become a god? And if you're okay with a man being God, then Paul is the man. Because Paul says all sorts of crazy stuff, and when you read it out of context, and guys, there is not a single letter of Paul's, maybe there's one, but most of this is a response to a set of questions from a set of people that were having a specific problem in a little tiny ecclesia, little itty bitty congregation. They were having some issues. They couldn't figure it out amongst themselves, so they wrote in. They wrote to Paul and they said, I have all these issues, blah, 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 blah. Paul writes back something, and they take the response for something that we have no idea. It's like taking a book, taking it, ripping it in half, and only having the last part. What in the world did the first part of it say? Because if we had that very first part, then we'd probably go, oh, he was not speaking of anything like this. Because all these different people come from all of these different crazy cultures. Some of them cook people in cook pots, right? Some of them will offer up their kids to Moloch, and everybody will do crazy stuff. So when people converted out of that pagan lifestyle into the Torah ways, and Paul was sending a letter back saying, don't worry about what people judging you in meat or judging you on what day to worship, because these guys that were all converted were now going against the flow of their current society. So instead of them, basically, they were the outcasts, because no longer did they put their kids in the crock pot. No longer did they worship on the pagan days. They kept a 7-day Sabbath. And so they were probably getting attacked. And that explains some of the letters of Paul, but I'm just simply adding that in there because I don't know what he's actually responding to. And some of his stuff is rather nuts when it comes down to what the scriptures say. And, you know, if you're looking for solid Torah truth, you're not going to find it in the books of Paul. You're going to find it in the Torah, the first 5 books of scriptures. And when you read it, you'll become very, very well equipped with the power of our Creator and the power of his ways. And it's a structure for our lives and for our families. Okay, guys, we're into the book of the Nazarene. Before we get into this, this is Yah Scriptures, limited edition release, 3,153 pages, large font. This is a big printed scriptures. It's an amazing book, guys. There's lots of people getting lots of orders. And we still have stock. And we also have, we're almost to the point where we're going to be spitting out this new paperback book. And it is very, very amazing. It's looking really, really good. It's going to be a very, very good release. And we thanks to everybody who's purchased the pre-orders, which will be July, August-ish, that we will have them in our hands and we will get them out to y'all. And thanks to everybody who gets the big blue book, the 7-pound book. Guys, this is an amazing read. It is something that you guys are enabling us to support prisons. We're able to support brothers and sisters in the United States of America. And the majority of the people that order are from the U.S. That is the bottom line. And there's a lot of people out there that are grabbing these. So guys, thank you from the U.S. people that are just pounding these down, pounding them in. It is amazing to have the ability to love on our brothers and sisters in chains and be able to support them. And we did have a brother that was killed last night in Texas. He's no longer with us. And that is unfortunately the world that we are into, that when you put your heart, mind, and soul into this, you will end up with sometimes broken hearts as the people that you encounter and the people that you know end up getting killed by the state. So, guys, let's bring this back to positivity, because this is a very, very positive book. This is the words, ways, and the way that our commander-in-chief, Messiah Yahushua, our leader, our king, who is coming in the name of his Father, who is coming in the will of his Father, who is doing the will of his Father, as he's walking amongst us as a human being, giving us all this advice. This is what we're learning from this book. And this book, every time I read it, I get something out of it for myself. I use it to keep myself in check, because I love the words of our Messiah. The more words of our Messiah that I can get that actually mesh with all of the Besorah, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that actually mesh with all the rest of the scriptures that we know and support the Torah, then we know it's good writings. And so I believe this is good writing. So let's get into this real quick and see what Messiah has to say, so we can figure this out. Natsarim, Khalidi, chapter 15, verse 14. Someone there said, adultery is kept in check by stoning. How can the punishment be increased to prevent it? Okay. I don't know about you guys out there, but it sounds to me that, picking up rocks and killing an adulterer and adulteress seems like it's a heavy duty punishment. But this, somebody in the audience, in the crowd, is like, how can the punishment be increased to prevent it? I don't know what they want. I mean, do they want the people tortured before they're killed, or what exactly it is? And when you look at what the Torah is, and guys, the Torah gives us a set of instructions for everything in life. One of the sets of instructions is, number one, if you guys commit adultery, you've basically nullified your own marriage. According to the scriptures, you're not to go back into that person. And so it is a big deal. It is a huge deal in the eyes of our Creator. It's a huge deal when he says that he's going to divorce his people. And it's something that we all have to be very, very accountable for. And it's something that I would like to encourage every male and every female of every relationship, and even outside a relationship, is to stay celibate and to stay clean, to stay pure, and not to give yourself away outside of that ultimate time inside of marriage. And as you guys progress through the relationships and as you guys make it into marriage, this is where there's no such thing as the grass being greener on the other side of the fence. That statement is always out there, but they didn't realize that right before the grass greener, the guy with the pesticides, the Monsanto guy, just came by and was blowing massive poisons on that grass on the other side of the fence. So as you lean your neck over into that other side of the fence, not only are you eating this green grass that looks luxurious, but you're also poisoning your heart, mind, and soul. And you're going to probably die from eating glyphosate and things like that straight. And so that's the same thing. When we get out of covenant of our spouses and our relationship, when we decide we're going to look outside of that fence, when we need to simply look back and we need to water the world that we have and commit everything that we have, our hearts, our minds, our souls, everything that we have, to our spouses. That's what this is about. Man and woman is supposed to combine and cleave and work together as one ginormous, amazing team. And when you find that teamwork, and not everybody can find it, and I know there's a lot of dysfunction outside of it, and it's something that if you keep praying about, if you keep seeking our Creator, and something you really are really wanting for you in your life, our Creator will bring the right person around. But the thing is, when you qualify who is going to be a spouse or qualified to be in your life, look, if they've never heard of the Torah, if they can't tell you what the greatest of what is their favorite commandment of all 158 that we can keep today, that's like a qualifying statement. Look at them, and if they have glazed over eyes, they have no idea what the commandments are. That's a huge red flag, right? That's something right out of the gates. You're going to be unequally yoked. And the thing is, dudes and girls will come into a religion or something for their loves, right? They will do something that they really don't even believe or they don't even care about, just to win the girl or just to win the boy. So we got to be very, very careful about our choices of all this. And as we get into relationships and understand that if you're surfing pornography, you're committing adultery. You're corrupting your heart, mind, and soul, and you're doing great evil against yourself. It's not something you would want to do. You're actually physically destroying your brain. There's parts of your brain and things that are firing off in your brains that jack you up. It's not a good thing long term. As well as the addictive properties of all this stuff, it makes you a straight fiend. People can't do without it. They have to surf pornography everywhere. And so it becomes like worse than heroin. It's like a crack heroin thing. You got to have it. And then the second you do it, you're just ready for the next scrolling of the pages and things like that. But it's all adultery. And so if you're into this stuff, it needs to be off. Turn the computers off. Turn that trash off. Don't stop this madness, right? Commit that same kind of lust over to your spouse. Give them the kind of love and treatment of a loving family, and all that stuff will come. You don't need all of this perverted wickedness that is outside and in. So continuing on into adultery talk here, Yahushua said, if a tree is cut down, it will spring up many places from the root. Evil is overcome by digging out the root of evil. Adultery has many causes. But if a man marries a woman who has fornicated, can he revile her for sorrow he has brought upon his own head? The dowry of a chaste woman is so much higher. But if a man accepts what she brings and revile her for what she has not, surely he is mean-hearted. Huge stuff to talk about, right? This is basically if you encounter a spouse of well, I mean, the world we live in, there's just we're men and women are just sluts, right? That's the bottom line, is that everybody is defiled, everybody's been corrupted. There's all this sensual trash. And the guys like Larry Flint, the guys on Playboy and Penthouse, right? They got the extra big spot in the burning lakes of fire. Surely the corruption these guys have done and the business style of pornography to what there is now, to where all these websites are out there. This is what the understanding Messiah wants us to have, right? If you are into if you are into a woman who has been defiled, which bottom line is as we meet people, pretty much we're all trashed. We're all corrupted. Bad things have happened. We've made very bad choices, very bad decisions. A lot of us weren't into Torah. A lot of us didn't understand. A lot of us have grown up in the society where on TV it's sex, 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 right? It's like everything, all these nasty smut daytime shows that have all the women watching all this trash and all the nighttime trash that people used to watch. It desensitizes everyone. And it's completely desensitizing. And I will tell you, the most beautiful woman that I can ever see are those women that they have a dress that's nearly to the ground, and they have stuff that's like, their arms are covered, and they're just, they take care of their hair. They take care of themselves to the fact that they don't have open flesh exposed. I find that so despicable. And I don't know about you guys. I don't know what society or what world you live into, but third world countries, it's like the women are extremely large, and they go with all this spandex. Like, it's like everybody has all of this basically softcore porn across their bodies with this stuff as tight as possible. How you get into this stuff, how you get out of it, I have no idea. But what I do know is that it didn't always used to be this bad. Things like that, you would have to like look at the girls working out or doing the kind of stuff like this. Now people just walk around and there's no mystery, right? There's no hiding the beauty of women, because everybody just wants to flaunt everything, and they just, it's so hard to find a spouse, guys. And I know, I got very, very lucky. Continuing on, but Messiah talks about the dowry. How much is a virtuous woman worth? It's worth a tremendous amount, right? When you, and again, for everybody who's ever youthful that can still save your purity, my friends, save it. Save it. Save it. Don't give yourself away. Don't defile yourself. There's no dude, there's no chick, there is nobody that is absolutely worth taking your guys' chastity away, taking your cleanness away. It's not meant. It's not meant to just give away like this, guys. And so protect it. If you guys still have that, protect what you have, and understand this about adultery. Continuing on, Messiah says this, 16. Before any man cast a stone at an adulteress, let him search his heart and see whether he be guiltless before women. I say to those who have one rule for their wives and another for the wives of others, set one standard and abide by it. Otherwise be branded as hypocrites. Big stuff, right? When you're sitting there, we know from the words of our Messiah that committing adultery in our hearts is as easy as lusting after a woman with these thoughts in our mind, right? That's as easy as it is. So when we're sitting there and we're picking the rocks up against those who have been in adultery, I was in an adulterous relationship. I didn't have Torah in my very first marriage. I come from years and years and years and years ago, and I found my wife, Nicole. We've been together like 25 years. It feels like 50, but don't tell her that. So, well, if you do tell her that, she'll probably clobber me. But that's okay, because it's always been it's been a rocky, wild ride, and I would never, ever, ever trade it for another moment. And there's been times I've been so mad I've bounced keys off the floor, and she's had her suitcases packed. It has been wild, especially the early days of our lives when we were still raging Gentiles and we weren't into Torah. It's much easier having a family and relationships and being around those who are interested in the Torah. Continuing on, 17. Men too readily lay blame at the door of others. For surely if anyone puts his hand into a snake hole, he can hardly blame the snake for being bitten. If a man enters a house of harlotry, who is to blame if he collects the whore's dowry? Okay? What does this mean? Well, it means that if you fall in love with a hooker or a harlot and you have to pay the dowry of it, that's your fault. You are in the world where you could very much fall in love with a harlot. If you were giving yourself away and trying to take what other people have in this filthy setup, it's the same thing, right? You put your hand in the hole of the snake. Is the snake biting you? Is it his fault or your fault for putting your hand in the hole? Well, we are setting ourselves up for our own worlds. What we do absolutely matters. How we conduct ourselves absolutely matters. We shouldn't be in a whorehouse, right? We shouldn't be at a place where we are struggling like this. Okay, 18. How far in the ditch have I gone? It's pretty far in. Okay, we can't go too much further. 18. Yahushua was invited into a house to eat and rest. And having done so, he sat outside the courtyard, amusing the children who played there. He told them stories which were seeds planted in their hearts. Some women were also listening. And when 2 of the 12 came into the courtyard and told the women to see the children did not bother Yahushua, he overheard them and said, "Let the children come to me, for from such as these will come the rule of Elohim." Okay, big stuff right there, right? I think we'll leave it at this because I think that's a big thing to discuss. Yeah, and then the next thing is getting worse here. Okay, so what is the rule of Elohim like? Messiah has talked about this before, that he likens this to, you got to be like a child. You got to have the belief as a child, the innocence of a child, the purity of a child, not the bad children, but I'm talking the good children. And that is the people that will inherit the kingdom, right? The boastful, prideful, arrogant, lustful, those who cannot save themselves out of the land of pornography. Those are the people who will not be inherited in the kingdom. And so there's an understanding that we need to have literally clean hearts, cling hands, cling everything. Because remember, it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles them, but what comes out of a man's heart through his tongue when he vibrates this into a vibrating frequency, at which point a thought becomes a thing of reality. And in reality, those vibrations may be simply something out of our anger or something out of whatever, but we have now vibrated those into other people and made it a reality outside of our own psyche. Right? So all of a sudden, we have made the evil in our heart come out and said evil things and later come to regret them, which happens to me all the time. I'm very, very impatient, and I live in a lot of like, man, I should have not said that. So this is what the kingdom looks like, right? It looks like those who are better than the day before, better than the moment before. Those of us who are seeking the Torah, seeking these cling hearts, cling hands, and becoming citizens of the kingdom of our Creator. And so, guys, it is with that I hope that you guys will love the Torah. When you love the Torah, it will absolutely show that you love our Elohim, our Creator, Yahuwah, with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our soul. And, you know, it's important that we do that, because that is actually a command in of itself, is that we love our Creator with all our heart, with all our mind, and with all our soul. In fact, it is a Shema. And Deuteronomy 6:4 begins with hear and obey. It's hear and obey, O Yisrael. And the Hebrew of that is Shema. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write on them, just jacked it up, you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Guys, that's what the Torah is. That's what the Torah belongs. This is what we need to do. This is how we should follow it. This is the Torah, right? It's good instructions. It's things that we have been given for all times. It is for all generations. It's for all peoples. It's for you. It's for me. It's for your wife. It's for your kids. It's for their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. All generations is a great thing. It means that there's no such thing as having a Messiah that came to strip us of these great things. Why would you want to violate Leviticus 11? Why would you want to go and eat food that would potentially make you sick? Makes no sense. But yet there's a unclean spirit demonology that goes inside of the people that when you explain to them that pig will make you sick, they get angry. You start stepping on with their belief system that this one guy who lives in a house provided by the church, who gets paid 10% of everything everyone makes, who doesn't really even understand the scriptures, if he's ever even read them. And if he has read them, then he definitely doesn't have eyes to see. And this is what people believe. And it's all lies. And this is Torah. This is the good instructions that our Creator has given to us. This is the way forward. This is the way that will cleanse us, that will get us prepared to become children of the Most High. That people like this are the people that, if there is ever a rapture like people are thinking about, the people that are taken away, that are caught away, would be these people. It's not going to be for a group of people that have rejected the ways of our Creator. When you nail the laws on the cross, you have rejected the ways of our Creator. And when we do that, it's foolishness, it's ignorance, and it's something that we will absolutely be judged by in the kingdom to come. And when you look at what I've just scrolled through, and I'm almost done, because there's not a lot of them. I could sit and ramble and just go right through the law, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, and you're not going to be able to find one of these in here that is a bad advice. That is something that isn't that good, right? Should we stop teaching our kids the commands and guard the way of Yahuwah? No. Why would we do that? These instructions are better than the instructions that we as parents can figure out how to give our own kids, right? Right here, our Creator has told us over and over and over to guard His covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments. Huge, huge commandment. Does anybody do this? Not a lot. Not a lot. So guys, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Much love to everybody out there. I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. I'm out.